Hello everybody and welcome to, I guess you could call this my second episode in Blue God Reviews. I don't know, it's a work in progress, we'll call it. It's about WoW. As you can tell, it's most definitely about WoW. And I have a lot of things to say, so this video either will be cut into two parts, or it will be one long video, so just prepare your ears because I'm going to be talking for quite a while. I'm doing this while some Town of Salem renders over in Vegas, and I have two instances of Vegas open. I'm just letting it render, so I've got nothing else to do. So I'm just going to record the audio for this. First thing I want to talk about WoW is the absolute current state of the game.
Beware.
Today is May 1st, 2014. It's technically 3 a.m. where I live. Current state of the game in terms of content. If you're a raider, if you enjoy raiding this game, you've already seen what can be seen in terms of raid content, or you're well on your way to seeing it. What I mean by that is, if you're a raider and you actually give a damn about raiding this game, you have already cleared Siege of Orgrimmar Normal, or you are in progress of clearing Siege of Orgrimmar Normal, or working on Heroic. In other words, you've seen all the content you could probably possibly see in this game. As far as soloing goes, in your off time, that's whatever you do. But that's old content, just being retroactively being used by you. Soloing Firelands, for example, Firelands has been in the game for 2.5, 3 years. Brawler's Guild, for example, has been in the game since last May. Shit, even before that. They released a second advancement to the Brawler's Guild like last May. I believe it's September, October, become the 1 year anniversary of Siege of Orgrimmar, and it's not good for the game. I'm gonna be straight up. I'm gonna be straight up here. The staleness of the content, the year-long content patches into the expansion, just like Dragon Soul, just like Icecrown Citadel, they are taxing on anyone that plays this game for in-game content, which a huge amount of players do that. I'm not going to start throwing around like, oh, 20% of players do this. No. I know a good amount of raiders that have quit this game constantly at the very end of the patch cycle, the expansion cycle, because they are fed up with the idea being thrown around that they can just sit on their hands for a year while making a whole expansion, which kind of brings me into the second point, which is there's nothing new on the horizon. Blizzard has said time and time again that any work they put onto a 5.5, for example, will just delay Warlords of Draenor even further. So this is slightly counterintuitive to my kind of point of view. They've said that Warlords of Draenor was farther along than Mists of Pandaria in relative beta relative beta timeframes, I guess you could say. Dragon Soul lasted 8 months. It lasted 8 months. It wasn't a year. It could have been. They could have delayed Mahor, but they wanted to counter Guild Wars 2 release at the beginning of September. So they countered Guild Wars 2 release by releasing Moth like a couple weeks later. I'm pretty sure that's what they did. They could very well have released WoD if WoD was on the same stage. They could release it in July. By that relative time frame. I mean, there's all sorts of things that are changing in the expansion, don't get me wrong. They're reducing, they're increasing, I'll get to that later. But what I'm saying is from a pure just time frame standpoint, what they say about WoD being farther along with Pandaria and then us probably not seeing it until this November off of most recent quote unquote I don't know, most recent I don't know, reviews, I guess to say. I mean, they leave themselves wide open for saying that the expansion will release by next year, by next Christmas, by December 21st, 2014, by this Christmas. It will release by then. I mean, if they launch it on December 20th, they still make do to that promise in the pre-order. But that's the thing, is if WoD was farther along than Mom, WoD should be done by now. Like, you should be able to at least assume that they get the groundwork for the expansion started years in advance. Yet, what we're seeing here is kind of classic Blizzard in the sense of they are making an expansion as soon as they're done with the last content of this expansion. And they really don't start getting their work done until this expansion is done, and it ends up dragging the last content patch of an expansion out just so they can facilitate making this new expansion. Now, I'm not going to say Blizzard makes this so money they should be able to hire developers, but I'm going to be really frank. If you're pushing the content much farther than it should be pushed, if you're pushing the last content patch, if you're pushing Pokemon, Dragon Soul, Ice Crown Citadel, if you're pushing it that far, and you don't have enough developers to be able to maintain both an expansion cycle of at least one expansion every 2 years, and a patch cycle that keeps content fresh, a new raid every 6 months, then maybe you should seriously consider hiring more developers. I've seen their excuses. I've seen that not a lot of people mesh well in Blizzard. Not a lot of people mesh well in the Blizzard team, and I get that. I understand that. But at the same time, you gotta realize that that's not how the workplace works. You give a person a job, you give a person a paycheck. At the end of the day, if they don't do their job, you should not be giving them a paycheck. And that goes for anyone, whether they mesh well with your team or not. And at the end of the day, it has to be cut and dry like that, especially if you're pushing Siege of Orgrimmar to last a year. A year of this. It's already boring to me, to a lot of people, but to me personally, it's already boring. I've run it to death in Raid Finder. I pushed it casually, normal mode raiding at the very beginning of the patch. I quit that. I spammed Raid Finder. I've spammed Flex. I've done everything but heroic raiding because I swore off heroic raiding at the beginning of this expansion because I was done with that shit. But that's an entirely different issue. So, before I get talking about WoD or anything else, Blizzard, personal message to you, from me, straight from my heart. Do something with the ridiculous amounts of money you earn. Really. Just go hire yourself a few interns. Put some work through. Have the expansion, yes, on the back burner, but at least have a huge majority of it done while an expansion is already taking place. You can't do this. Listen, you just can't. Getting on to what I think the good of WoD is. The good of totally restructured PvE instance ladder. You've got your Raid Finder, which is your bottom tier, or well, you got your Heroic 5-man raids. Heroic 5-man instances and Raid Finder. Allegedly, in WoD, they will drop either very similar high level in terms of gear, or same high level in terms of gear. So they'll both be entry stepping stones into raiding, which is very good. Heroic 5-mans need to have a purpose beyond being that thing you run for Valor points or Justice points every week or so. They need to have a purpose in gearing up. Raid Finder should be completely optional. as it looks like they're pushing to be, because allegedly you won't be able to get unique weapons, unique trinkets, or tier gear from Raid Finder anymore. So they're finally pushing what Raid Finder originally should have been, which is the I'm sightseeing to see the pretty fights, not I'm doing this to gear up so I can actually do some legitimate raiding like they were pushing all MOP long. That was one of the biggest drags of MOP for me, is that you had to constantly be gearing up an LFR to even have a chance at getting into a normal mode guild, let alone a heroic guild. Like, if you came in the expansion late, you either fought yourself to just mash your character up, especially with the legendary quest. You fought yourself up to the point in which you could raid, or you never saw normal modes. Moving on from there. Moving on from that little tidbit, we have 5-mans and an LFR. We have your normal mode, which has been flexified, which is you could have anywhere between 10 and 25 people in it, and it what was the thing? Oh yeah, you could invite anyone across battle.net tags. So instantly, this is just infinitely better over the current normal modes. The current normal modes, it has the same flex thing, or not the same. You can invite people across servers and whatnot. It has that right now, but the flex, just the flex system being applied to normal modes, is fantastic. The whole idea of being able to add people, not be bound by server in terms of just guilds and recruitment and whatnot, it's a fantastic change. And they're doing the same thing to heroic modes. So they just flexified both normal and heroic modes, so you get both your you get both those tiers, the ability to invite people from across other servers, the ability to have anywhere between 10 and 25 people. That's amazing, you know. That makes it to where 10-man guilds aren't just limited to the amount of people that are on their shitty server, and it makes it to where say 25-man guilds could run 2 10-mans if 5 people dip one night, or you know, a 15-man, 10 people just decide not to fucking show up, which has happened a lot before to me personally. Like when I heroic raided Ice Grand Citadel, that shit happened all the time. And 25-man guilds and 10 people not show up. We had 15 of our 4 people show up. 10 people just jerking off over in the corner, and us not being able to raid that night because 10 people decided that they had lives. Understandable. Very frustrating. Very, very frustrating. So, moving on from that, the last difficulty is something new they call Mythic. Mythic has all of the old, I guess you could call them archaic, limitations on them. You can only invite people from your server. They have a fixed member amount. It takes 20 people, and they are not flexed, and they're suited for a 20-person group, strictly a 20-person group. There are 3 reasons why I'd say this is a really good thing. A, they're keeping the whole guild-centric thing intact with this kind of thing, to where guilds aren't, to where guilds have to be on a server if they're gonna raid Mythic, and if they're gonna get a world first Mythic kill, that, you know, it's gonna be a server first or whatnot or whatever. They are they have to be fixated on the server. Second reason why it's good. Second reason why it's good is because for the longest time we've needed a higher difficulty level in terms of just pure difficulty of this game. In Siege of Orgrimmar especially, it's been said many times that the fights are not difficult, and in fact rely more on your raid group's comp than it does your personal skill level. In fact, if you, like, for example, if you're not rolling a Warlock in Heroic 10-man Siege of Orgrimmar, you are gimping yourself by like 20%. Purely 20% median. Any other class cannot out DPS a Warlock that badly. The vast majority of classes, especially on Hero Auto. And yeah, it's a lot more about class composition than it is about personal player skill. So with them, you know, with that kind of fixated kind of idea, they'll be able to mesh 20 mans around. They'll be able to mesh the 20 mans around classes instead of having to triple classes. Try to mesh around both 25 and 10 man settings. 25 man settings, 10 man settings, 25 heroic, 10 heroic. They are very, very different classes. On the surface, they look the same, but in practice, they operate completely different. You have many more great units in 25 man, and not that much more damage coming in. However, you have 4 healers in 25 man, but you have the same amount of tanks as 10 man. The inconsistency is just really real. If you have 1 DPS die in 25 man, it's not nearly as punishing as having 1 DPS die on 10. That and you're allotted more battle rests in 25 man encounter than you are in a 10 man encounter. And that right there, that just means that 3 people can make a mistake, whereas 1 person can make a mistake. So having it focused on pure 20 man idea, that's really good. And the third reason, obviously, is because it's rounded to 20 men. Like no more than 25. It's 20. 2 10-man raids. It's great. You know? They're able to make the raid specific to that kind of raid size. They'll be anticipating having a certain number of certain classes within that raid, and they'll be able to bring back the whole idea of we're bringing you for your specific class buff, even though we're trying to bring the player, not the class, even though bringing the class, not the player, kind of works better in a lot of situations. In a few situations. I'm not saying it's a better system, period, because you're just bringing overpowered classes to compensate for players' lack of skill. But in certain situations where, say for example, off the top of my head, Malygos, back whenever that was progression content, having a DK be able to death grip those sparks in the right position, chains of ice them in the death grip global, and be able to nuke them down in the right position, right on Malygos' ass, that is the kind of thing I'm talking about, where it's going to expect you to have this type of class, at least one of them, in your raid, and that's going to be his job. Something like, this guy is going to have this job. You know, a kiter is going to have to kite something around. A melee might have to off-tank, a melee might have to off-tank something. Stuff like that. There's not going to be any more of this skirting around the bush tails, trying to focus on player skill, but there's no specific player jobs, and, heroic races turning into who has the better class comp. So, yeah, enough of current WoW. Or wait, that is current WoW. Enough of the restructured PvP instance ladder. I think I've talked that to death. Next thing they're doing is they are just taking a giant tomahawk. They are just throwing it into PvP. They just like, oh, PvP, get over here. And they're completely redesigning it. They are designing it to make it far, far more fair. Right now in PvP, this is the most common experience you'll ever have. Stun, fear, mesmerize, horrifying, fear, stun, fear, blind, fear, staff. That's what you're experiencing. And it's mind-boggling that they let it get this far. I think MOC PvP has been the most balanced in all of the past seasons. But at the same time, I think MOC CC has been pushed out of control in this game. And cast mobility especially. Healer mobility, that's another thing. Healer mobility you can hamstring easily. There's certain classes that are just mobility kings, like monks, druids, in terms of healing, but in but that's what they're designed around. They're designed around being exceedingly mobile and using their mobility right. Where shamans, on the other hand, are designed to like tank. It's basically tank their damage. I believe I heard somewhere that they're going to make multiple Earth Shields be able to stack on the same target at once. And Earth Shield not overriding Water Shield on the same shaman. That's a rumor. That's not confirmed, but it's a change that I've looked at and I'm like, wow, that makes shamans really good in terms of PvP, because you can just stack Earth Shield and Water Shield up and if you get swapped to, you have heals, passive heals, and more mana regen just by getting attacked. So, unless they decide... Unless they decide to remove the mana on hit and Water Shield, or they already have... It's been a long time since I've played Shaman, so don't quote me on any of them. But yeah, PvP really redesigned from the bottom up. It is a beautiful thing. It honestly, it makes me want to play that game's PvP more than Guild Wars 2's. Guild Wars 2 PvP is something I have like sung from the heavens, one of the best PvP systems in any MMO. Like, some people don't like it because it has no gear ladder, but what I'm saying is, having no gear ladder is the best thing about Guild Wars 2. You can play it for hardcore for a season, and then stop for 5 seasons, come back to it, and you're still on the same playing field as everyone else in terms of your player character. The only thing that's changed is your reaction time and your own personal player skill, and you just need to get that back. Whereas in a game like World of Warcraft, an expansion's happened, and you're behind not only 5 or 10 levels of leveling, but you're also behind a season or 2 of gear, which you're going to have to spend grinding in Battlegrounds in order to be able to feel an nth powerful to be able to take on Conquest geared players. So, again, what they're doing in WoD fixes a lot of the problems that are prevalent in PvP right now. They're doing a lot with their item level scaling technology. They are allegedly going to make it to where if you engage in world PvP and PvP out in the world, people's item levels will be scaled up to a minimum and scaled down, scaled up to a minimum, and mythic raiders will be scaled down to a maximum. And that kind of playing field right there will that kind of playing field will be the kind of PvP ballpark where your item level gets scaled up, you're kind of on par with the players even though you have slightly worse gear, but you're still at an item level that's manageable, and the people that are scaled down are just toned down. Nobody wants a 572 item level guy rocking his big dick with the average item level PvPer is like 549, you know? Nobody wants someone with 25 more item levels coming in and destroying them, especially when they're rocking PvE gear. It's silly, and I can agree to some extent with World PvP. The only thing I don't like about World PvP is the fact that it's not that entertaining. I'm going to be honest with you. To me, running around ganking the same guy 4 or 5 times, or running around and ganking the same group of guys 4 or 5 times, it gets old. And while, yes, I've had some epic PvP battles in my past, in the Burning Crusade and Wrath of the Lich King, those are few and far between in terms of world PvP encounters. That is not an everyday occurrence. Hell, it's not even a once-a-week occurrence where I get an epic world PvP battle. It's more like it happens when I'm not expecting it. It's definitely not something I just sit and see, you know. So there's that. The next thing I'll talk about is, I'll probably cut this episode soon. Probably after this next topic about the good of WoW. I'll make the next part about the rest
Beware.
The Draenei and Gron lore. I'll start with the Draenei lore. It's nice to see them take a step and try to actually give a damn about the TVC characters. Like, for example, Lorthmar Theron and actually getting some love, Blood Elves actually getting some love with 5.1, 5.2. That's pretty brilliant of Blizzard to be able to pull off. To be able to make a character where nobody knew that they were the leader of the Blood Elves and turn him into an unrivaled badass. And probably my favorite war character out of all of Warcraft. And that's one thing I praise Mop for, is aside from all of the goofing around with the Pandarans that he do, Mop had it good with its war story. And it had it good with its character development and its plot development if you weren't looking at Varian or Garrosh. Everyone else had it good except for the two main characters, which might as well just be Goku and Vegeta in the same Dragon Ball Z anime. I hate how they, but anyway, that's off topic. Topic is Draenei lore. They're really pushing how the Draenei interacted with the world they were on. They kind of invaded, and how they treated the orcs, and what it was like for them. Because I feel like whenever I look at Draenei back in the world of Draenor, I feel like I get a white man versus black man feel, where the Draenei come in and they just start just being giant pricks to the orcs. Not necessarily enslaving, but I'm sure it could come to that. And the only time the orcs get the backlash is whenever they get demon power, or in this case, Garrosh power. And the other one was Gron lore. I love Gron. I've been waiting for another Gron raid since fucking Gruul. I have not seen another Gruul. I am disappointed that there has not been another raid involving a Gron since Gruul. It's boggled me. I mean, yeah, you have your two-headed giant Halfrus, I think. Halfus Wormbreaker. First boss of Bastion Twilight. This is all from memory. Don't even... if I'm wrong, fuck it. But yeah, that guy, he's like a two-headed Etten thing, which is kind of like a Gron, but Gruul had this thing where he was so menacing because he was so big, and he just got bigger as the fight went on. And he was so amusing to fight and kill because I needed the fucking Dragon Spine trophy because, well, everyone needed the Dragon Spine trophy. He was a fun boss fight. And I'm really glad they're trying to expand on it. Like, if you look at some of the maps on MMOChampion.com, which, by the way, that's like 90% of my information comes from. If you look at some of the maps about the minimap maps of Draenor, if you look at like Frostfire Ridge or something, and you see these just gigantic skeletons, those are fucking Grons. They are fucking huge, and Frostfire Ridge is where they went to die. And if you look at the bottom left-hand corner of the legitimate WoD map, there's like this kind of island-looking thing that you can't really see, but it's there. Allegedly, that's going to be like an Ogre Empire theme that might be like 6.2. I'm excited as fuck for that. Like, I'm not gonna get you wrong. I'd probably play WoD in 6.2 just for that. I might not play WoD in 6.0. I might not play WoD in 6.1. But if there's an Ogre Empire with a Gruul boss that is the final or like even the middle boss, I will play 6.2 just for that. I've already pre-ordered WoD, so I wanted a free 90. Fuck. But yeah. Oh, you hear that? It's a train. Anyway. But yeah, that's the good of WoD, in my opinion. The restructured PvE instance ladder, the redesigned PvP across the board, and the Draenei, the Gron lore. I think all of those three things are good. Now, in the next video, I will discuss the bad of WoD. Discuss the bad of WoD and the wait and see of WoD. So next one's going to be kind of a little more negative video, but I'll try to cheer it up with my cheeriness. I have a few complaints in the next video, So you'll probably see me bitching a little bit. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. If you like this video, please leave a like, favorite, subscribe, all that social media mumbo jumbo. Down below. Wow, get ahead of myself here. All that social media mumbo jumbo down below. I am GuruGodX, and I hope to see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye. Hey guys, I just wanted to add a little addendum to this video, and I'm probably going to put this same addendum on the end of my next video, because I really wanted to talk about the newest things that Blizzard has decided to do. First things first is the whole quad upgrading items. Like, instead of double upgrading them twice, or upgrading them twice, now you get to upgrade them 4 times. And my thoughts on that is that it's utterly and completely idiotic. Like, all it does is perpetrate a need for players to Valor cap even harder, while also, not alluding to the fact that it will take exactly 28 weeks to gather enough Valor to be able to finish quad upgrading like every single piece of loot you have right now, assuming it's best in slot. And a lot of people aren't. So what you'll be doing is you'll be getting a piece of gear, quad upgrading it, spending a week's worth of Valor, and then next week you're going to get an upgrade, and you're going to fucking hate yourselves for spending a week's worth of Valor on that quad upgrade. And does it matter this late into the content pad? It does, when Worlds of Draenor is just nowhere near. When Worlds of Draenor, like, I remember back in fucking January where people were hypothesizing that it was coming out. It's going to be out. The beta was going to be happening in late January, and that the game was going to launch sometime in late April, early May. And here we are, fucking halfway through May, almost summer, and we don't even have a beta yet. Like, this is WoD is nowhere near. And if they don't do an adequate beta with WoD, then you can expect the game to just launch horrendously. Just like any game that skips over the beta process. More on the subject, there's this Heart of the Valorous buff, which you earn 100% additional Valor points. Maybe by 100% additional Valor points, it means that you'll be able to earn 2,000 Valor in a week, which just, once again, accentuates the grind that is this game's in-game. Like, because now you're capping 2,000 Valor a week instead of just 1,000. If the buff means the opposite, where you still have a cap of 1,000 Valor, however, you earn it twice as fast, that's a little better. But still, the idea of quad upgrading, and that being the big nerf to Siege of Orgrimmar, quote-unquote, it's lacking. I would... personally, I would rather have the ICC style or Dragon Soul style debuffs or buffs, whichever you prefer. This whole idea where it helps the player out if you allow them to grind more is idiotic. Moving on from that, you can buy Valor for timeless coins now, so yippee, I guess. I mean, it's 100 Valor for 3,000 timeless coins, so if you could grind up 30,000 timeless coins faster than you can grind up 1,000 honor, there's your Valor count. Oh yeah, you have to do you have to upgrade your legendary cloaks manually, because fuck logic. The last thing I want to talk about, and this shit is what frustrates me about Blizzard, is there are glaring issues with this game. There are glaring issues with the implementation of their extended content of Siege of Orgrimmar. There are issues with their schedule on how WoD is coming along, and there are just internal issues all around about WoD existing in the first place, trying to get it done, trying to push it, trying to do all the stuff that they said they were going to try to do in this kind of fucked up timetable, because we can definitely assume that they were not working on WoD at all throughout all of MoB, because the way they're putting the game together now and how long it's taking, they most definitely started right before BlizzCon, I'd say. Like, right before last year's BlizzCon 2013, they started WoD, and they got a decent, half-assed alpha build ready to show off to everybody, and a pre-rendered trailer. So, with that in mind, here we do have this Grinning Reaver mount, and this Warforged Nightmare mount. Now, I'm not sure where they come from. They're just on the PTR. But I have a feeling that the Grinning Reaver, you're gonna sit there and spend $25 to have that mount. Or the Nightmare Hitching Post, or the Warforged Nightmare, or the Nightmare Hitching Post, whichever. That's gonna be a card game item. The card game, I have no problems with, mainly because the mounts and pets and shit you see there are fucking rare. And you can't just buy... You just can't buy them. Whereas the fucking Grinning Reaver, if that's a fucking $25 Blizzard Store mount, you will see that everywhere. Just like you see the Phaedrake, just like when you saw the Celestial Sparkle Pony when that first released. And this is what pisses me off most, is that people just buy it. They buy it, and yeah, they're spending their money, but look at the state of the game. Really. The state of the game is atrocious. I don't know what they're planning on doing for WoD. I don't know what they're planning on doing from now till WoD. More of Siege of Orgrimmar, more grinding, more of this, that, and the other. That's idiotic. I can't imagine a game this grindy. And I'm playing Minecraft right now, and I'm having more fun with that than I am with WoW, and they're both extremely grindy games. It's ridiculous. So, yeah, there's that. 7 minutes of addendum to my 30-minute rant to try and cover bases, I guess. Other than that, I really want to see WoD beta. I really want to see it, so I know whether or not the $70 I spent was wasted, or if it was justified. Because right now, the only thing I have justification I have for that $70 was for a level 90 Pandaren Shaman that I got the name after my friend to make fun of him. And I geared it up half-assedly, well, not half-assedly, it has some decent gear. But I geared it up decently, and it sits there. Just like my monk, just like my paladin. So, yeah. Anyway, if you like the video, please like, favorite, comment, subscribe. Get some conversation going. I'd love to see a decent conversation between people and me. Specifically, I like talking over the internet. I like debating, which kind of inherently means I like arguing. But, I like discussing. But, all that aside, I've been GuruGodX. That covered everything. Bye-bye.